Am I the asshole for refusing to let my family meet my daughter after all of them dropped out of my wedding upon finding out my wife was pregnant? I come from a conservative Christian family. All my family members were/are involved in the church, and they have church-based jobs. When they met my wife, they loved her and embraced her as their own. We dated for 2 years and discovered she was pregnant after we got engaged. Invitations were already given at the time, and we decided to still have the wedding on date when my wife was 5 months in. My family was furious when they found out my wife was pregnant. They asked if we even still considered having a wedding. I said, why not? But they were very upset, especially Mom and Dad, who said they've always been known for their decency and good Christian values and weren't willing to let this stain their reputation, as in my wife and I getting married while pregnant. They officially dropped out and refused to negotiate, saying it was done, and I have only myself to blame for this outcome and should move the wedding out of town. I was hurt. I tried to change their minds and checked with other members, but my brother said he had no intentions to look like a joke in front of his fellow church members and dropped out. My aunt pretended to be sick and said she may not be able to make it. She's 100% healthy. My cousin said he had a business trip and stopped his wife and kids from attending, and my uncle cussed me out, tore the invitation, and kicked me out. I felt terrible with no family members of my own to support me and share my joy at my wedding. I even broke down crying after the ceremony. I haven't spoken to them for months, and then I got busy with my 4-week-old daughter. My cousin reached out to me to hand me gifts and well wishes for the birth of my daughter sent from my family. I returned everything. He sat with me on behalf of the family, saying I shouldn't have returned the gifts that were from my family who wanted to see and hopefully be involved in my daughter's life. He said Mom's longing to meet her grandbaby and everyone else is wanting to visit to celebrate my daughter's life. I asked him this question. I said, wasn't my daughter the reason why the entire lot of them abandoned my wedding? He just stared grudgingly as I went on about how they treated my daughter as something to be ashamed of and hide. My daughter at some point will ask about the wedding, and I have no intentions of lying to her. He replied saying he guaranteed I got it all wrong, and no matter what goes down between us, I can never deny that my daughter is their granddaughter/niece, etc., and they're her family. He asked that I arranged for them to visit, but I refused. He kept pressing the idea, but I shut him down. My wife says I should let them come, but I've still refused.
So the question is he the no, he's not the asshole. What do you think? Do you think he's the asshole for doing what he did? What do you think about the whole thing?
No.
And how long did you hold the grudge?
I think it has to be more than just one family member coming forward to say, oh yeah, on behalf of the entire family, we're all, you got everything wrong and we all want to be a part of her life. No.
But not only that, but a family member that probably wasn't even a part of that pile on.
And it's not really even an apology. It's a backhanded, you just got things misunderstood. You're just confused.
You got to see it from our point. You got to see how embarrassing it was for us.
So there's no real apology. It's just let's just move past it and get over it.
It's almost like why you keep bringing up old shit? Yeah. Kind of a situation. Like so, and it's like I'll say like it's like you can't just send a person who you know he's willing to talk to because that family member, what was it, a brother? Wasn't a part of the original A team who insulted the little girl. It has to be one of the. It has to be starting with the first person who did made the first. So that person needs to be the one to smooth it over for themselves, and then like you said, each other family member needs to.
If Mom and Dad are so upset about not being able to see the grandbaby, then Mom and Dad need to contact them themselves and say, what you know.
What I did was wrong.
And an actual apology, not you just misunderstood everything.
It's almost like it's your fault you think about it, it's your fault for putting yourself in that situation, and you knew we couldn't support that then, but I don't want this person in our family to grow up thinking that we did something bad because. Oh, it's like, what are they worried about it now for? Because the granddaughter is getting old enough to understand it, and that guy's going to be able to control the narrative or something like that.
Well,
they didn't care then.
It's pretty obvious that they're not sorry for anything because they don't feel like they did anything wrong. They're just basically like, well, she's here now, so of course we love her.
Why are you bringing up bullshit?
But we didn't do anything wrong, so what are we apologizing for?
I didn't think she was going to turn out so cute, so I'm not embarrassed about her anymore. So what I mean, it's like people don't like, people are day traders. In the moment, they're like, they don't care that they were being insulting and rude. It's like they're the majority, so it's like you have to immediately forgive them because they have the numbers on their side of people that agreed with them within the family. Then so what does it matter?
Well, the whole thing is it was just a perception. It was all just about what others are going to say. We don't really care.
Yeah, those
we don't
others
we don't really care that you're pregnant because you're getting married, but we're really concerned about what everyone else is going to say.
Yeah.
So we don't want you to get married or anywhere near us because other people might say something.
I don't have any sympathy for anyone who makes someone's, and this touches on us because we know we're about to get married. And I'm letting you know right now, I don't have any sympathy for people who do stuff that's make the wedding, make the ceremony for these people coming together and we're celebrating this union and making it about themselves, that like a guest or another family member that's outside of the actual wedding or the marriage, that are there to show support. You're now making it about you. I mean, like, are you here to support us or not? That was the question, and you had on day one. That was the test of how I'm gonna treat you moving forward. So when it's time now, when we get into nursing home territory ages and stuff, like, people got to realize that that's what happens. Like, I expect to be super nice to all of our kids after I'm like 55, 60, because I think about that, like, thinking that's about the time when they're gonna start remembering a lot of shit and how they're gonna treat us. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, that's the bet that they made. I mean, it's up to him to, but you're right. The actual perpetrators need to be the ones who come in one by one, not as a group, not an advocate.
Yeah, you don't send a spokesperson over to
who wasn't a part of that insult,
and then is going to speak for them and say, no, you misunderstood. You don't have it right. No.
Because in that situation, now that family member who is trying to smooth it over for the rest, now it's like, okay, I was willing to talk to you because you weren't involved with that original group. But now that you're pitching for them for so hard, now you're on that side of the fence now. You want to keep talking and put yourself outside the over there with them? Go. I was like, keep talking. Say one more thing. Like no, you're not the asshole. You're not the asshole for that. I mean, how many years was it? The girl is now what, 7?
He just said it's been several months. She was 4 weeks old. She's a baby.
Okay, so they didn't wait years for them to
No. Now, I mean, I can definitely understand.
Like, no, it's still fresh then.
It's still fresh.
If it's still within a year, it's still fresh.
I mean, let's see what the wife is getting at,
I don't want this to last too long.
Right. You don't want your grandchild to be 5 years old and has missed out on her entire family because you're still angry with them.
If it's that important to them, they know what his conditions are. Either invents a Wayback Machine, go back in time and correct it, or I think one by one come in.
Now it's early enough that you could at least make, especially since the wife is wanting it, make an effort to get everyone together and let's say, let's do this face to face and let's all speak about this. We're not going through spokespeople. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to hash this stuff out.
How much money are they talking about bringing to the table? All those gifts and stuff, they like that. returning all those gifts and whatnot. That was a statement that showed that, you know. Let's start with that. Repurchase the gifts, or if any of them kept it, I'm sure they kept the receipts and they got those gifts back, and they probably got their money back. Let's bring those gifts back into the table. We'll start there, and then how much on top of that you're gonna pile onto it for your apology for the insult. If you really didn't think you did anything wrong, what are you asking for? If you want to stand by your convictions or your faith, what is your religion doesn't matter now anymore? Now that it's been 4 months, like your beliefs are changed 4 months later? That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna hold it against you. I was
gonna say, because I don't think for them it was really ever about the family being mad about the religiousness. It was about
how it looked for
we are concerned about what others are going to say.
Yeah. And when you live your life like that and whatnot, you're gonna make yourself look like a fool later on. Like, no, because he gave the perfect answer. They did what they did because they were embarrassed about her, and so she still exists. So why do they want to be in her life? He painted them in the perfect box. They got to answer that question, and they got to answer it individually.
Because it's actually very petty. It wasn't a matter of like, oh, we don't think you should get married, or oh, you know, any of that. It was, we don't think a wedding is appropriate now.
We don't want to celebrate.
You skipped a step, so now you just don't get to have a wedding. You can get married, but you just can't have a wedding. It's one of those like, oh, well, you can't wear a white wedding dress because you were already married before, so you can't wear one. I can wear whatever I want to wear.
I mean, it's ass backwards. I mean, back in the day, even like 100 years ago or whatnot, you hear about shotgun weddings and stuff like that. When you got a girl pregnant and whatnot, the father would be like, "You better marry her now," and it was the honorable thing to do. Now, like, these people are ass backwards. It's like, you know how many people are being who are getting pregnant and deciding that just being in a relationship and just having the baby is fine, and not getting married is that big of a deal. And then later, maybe they get married, maybe they don't. At least when it happened, or they were in a time where they were like, "Well, we're gonna get married anyway," and it's just they just timed it. They just got pregnant, but they still got married. At least they got married before the baby was born, right? So, I mean, I don't understand these people's. It's not like the bride was gonna go the whole way and just remind everybody, "I'm pregnant right now." It happened like months ago. Like it was. It's like, I don't understand. Because I was gonna say,
I don't really think that it was ever about
the grandbaby. It was about
them thinking it was wrong that they were getting married. It was strictly
they were embarrassed about the order that they put
you were more concerned that people around were just going to look at the picture and go,
she was pregnant during that.
You know,
they were having sex
instead of knowing like, oh, well, they've been together for years. They've been engaged, and we're like, they're just going to see the picture and go, ooh, scandal. Like,
odds are that half of the people that were hating on them or saying all that stuff probably weren't virgins when they got married. So but people feel like
you're worried about people who's they're irrelevant to your.
Oh, don't worry about me. This is about you. That's what they'll do. So I don't know. No, you're not the asshole.
Our supporters help make all this content possible, so make sure you check out our Patreon page so you can help us bring you the content you want.
Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal. Yo. I stay turned up on another level. Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal.